Hey, what's up, guys? It's your English buddy, Kaoru. How's it going? I hope you're doing well. As for me, I had been laying low, kind of missing in action. I just needed to be off the grid. Honestly, I think we all need to take a break from social media once in a while. Yeah, it helps you to reset, right? Well, at least it did for me, and I am all back and refreshed. Yep. はい、今日の動画、英語でね、私の過去のバイトのお話をシェアさせてもらいたいです。はい。いろんなね、バイトをした経験があるのですが、最高だったバイトと最悪だったバイトの、お話をもうさせてもらおうっていう感じでカジュアルに、もうお友達に話してるような感じでちょっとお話をさせてもらいたいです。でね、単語に関してですが、基本的に英会話自体もそうですけども、私もねそんなに難しい単語を使って話すことがないので、ちょっとおバカちゃんっぽいですけどでも本当に英会話って意外とねシンプルな単語で成り立っているので、そういうところもね参考にしていただいて、聞いたことない表現とか言い回しとかあるかもしれませんが、そういう時はねここにピコンって上にこっち出していきたいなと思うので、もしねご質問等ございましたら気軽に概要欄の方から、コメントくださいませ。お待ちしております。Alright, let's get started. Why don't I go with the worst one? Yeah, the worst job I've ever had.This was in Miami, when I used to work at this kosher Japanese restaurant. Yeah, you heard that right. Kosher and Japanese. Guys, let that sink in. Let that sink in for a bit. Now, if you're not familiar with the word kosher,no worries, no shame. It's basically a set of dietary rules followed by Judaism. Okay? So there are a lot of little things you have to be careful about. Like you can't mix meat and fish. You can't serve them together at the same time because you have to use different utensils for meat and fish. And of course, there's no pork, no shrimp.Because seafood needs to have fins and scales. For example, salmon is fine, but shrimp isn't. Shrimp is not allowed, kind of thing. But, in the restaurant, they don't serve, pork or shrimp or even alcohol. Yeah, because people who eat kosher food, they don't drink. And there are even certain times when people fast, and of course, those who are fasting, they don't come to the restaurant.Yeah. And as a waiter, you need to know all these rules. Like if someone orders sushi and teriyaki chicken, boom, you have to switch out everything. Like utensils, chopsticks, plates, pretty much everything. And water glasses felt suspicious at that point. I was pretty nervous whether I was doing it right or not.Yeah, you couldn't reuse anything. And then there's the tipping situation. As I mentioned before, people who follow Judaism, they don't drink. So they didn't serve alcohol at this place, because of that kosher rules, which is totally fine. But no alcohol means lower bills. And lower bills means tiny tips. You know what I mean?If you ever worked as a waiter in the States, tips are everything. I used to make about $2.50 per hour, okay? I think it was the minimum wage at that time. And the check goes toward paying the taxes, okay? So basically, you live off the tips.That's why you have to tip the waiter, And now, I don't want to stereotype or anything, okay? This is just what I experienced. But sometimes people who aren't used to that tipping culture, like tourists or people from different countries, they just don't tip much. It's just one of those things that happens when you're dealing with cultural differences. But for broke as me, college me, it was rough. So kosher Japanese restaurant, I learned a lot, like how to serve sushi or Japanese food with anxiety. Yep. But looking back, I realized it was my fault for taking the job without really knowing what kosher meant. I was like, cool, Japanese food, I can handle this. But honestly, ignorance is not an excuse, right? But that's what made this job such a huge learning experience. I learned about not just food service, but how to respect other people's traditions, even if I didn't know them at first. Yeah, but I did my best, and I feel like now I know more about kosher laws than any other sushi chef. Yeah, but in terms of making money, 10 out of 10, I would not recommend. Yeah, although I enjoyed it in a way. Yeah, so that was the worst one. I mean, making money wise, okay? Nothing personal. So now, let me tell you one of the best part-time jobs I've ever had in my life. I'm not exaggerating. It's a gig, actually. But yeah, you could say part-time job. Nothing else even comes close, okay? This was also in Miami. When I used to work as an assistant stylist to this powerhouse woman. She ran the show, okay? Total boss. During the fashion season, when all the big shows happen in New York and LA, Miami also has its fair share of events, And I was always hired as a dresser backstage. And let me tell you, this one backstage tale, my ultimate blush-worthy moment. So as a dresser, your job is to help the models change outfits between runway walks, right? You literally strip them down to the bare essentials and get them dressed fast, as fast as you can for the next look. And this particular show was for Tommy Hilfiger. Yeah, that Tommy Hilfiger. I was in the venue, in the backstage, and guess who walked in? Tommy Hilfiger himself, in the flesh. I was like, wow, that's Tommy Hilfiger. And he was actually super nice. Total gentleman. He went around, said hello, shook hands with each one of us. I couldn't help but admire it, because he's a big shot. And we are just stacked, And I've heard some rumors about him, old rumors from the 90s. So I had this image of him, but he turned out to be nothing like that, He was warm and respectful. Yeah, I was like, I just met Tommy Hilfiger. This is so fucking cool, Yeah. Not to drop any names, but he is a big shot and you'll be like, wow, right? But anyway, that is not my highlight of the story here. Okay, so here's the highlight. Since it's a Tommy Hilfiger show, there were male and female models, right? And I was assigned to this drop-dead gorgeous Puerto Rican male model, which I've never had. Yeah, I've never worked with a male model as a dresser. Yeah, so that's probably why this was something really special. And when he walked up to me, I swear it felt like a movie, okay? Everything went into slow motion, slow-mo, like in the movies. Yeah, His jawline, like skin. His body is so built, of course. He's tall, like perfect straight teeth, and it's just like, wow. Jaw-dropping, gorgeous, I don't know what to do, gorgeous. I sound silly, huh? Yeah, I mean, I was young, okay? This was when I was around 20 or 21, okay? So bear with me, guys. I don't want to lose you. I don't want to sound like a pervert cougar woman. Right now, that's the last thing I want for my image. But anyway, yeah, I was young. And I know looks are not everything, of course. But, I was just like, wow. I could feel my face was turning red, Yeah, and I'm sure he noticed how flattered I was. He was really nice and friendly. Yeah, he smiled and introduced himself. We shook hands and, had a small talk. And he started checking his outfit. Meanwhile, I'm just standing there, try to play it cool, like, yep, this is your wardrobe. You're gonna look so stunning in there, So I wasn't like trying to be a flirt or anything, I kept it professional, of course. Yeah, because my boss was right there too. Yeah. And then came the moment. He started undressing. I had to help him button or unbutton his shirt, pull up his pants, buckle his belt. Yeah, we do pretty much everything for the models, because none of us want to wrinkle the garments. Even earrings for female models. Yeah. Honestly, the whole gig was amazing. Yeah, no real responsibility, free access to the new collection, got to meet the designer and worked with my badass stylist mentor. Yeah, sometimes she asked for my opinion, which felt like such an honor. Yup, best job ever. Hands down. Yep, thank you so much for letting me share my stories, being here with me today. I really appreciate it. And I would love to hear about your part-time job experiences. If you don't mind sharing that with me, I'll be so happy to hear it, so please write in the comment section below. Keep it simple, like I used to work as blah blah blah, and how to enjoy it. I would love to hear it. Yes, and if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so. It means so much to me. And if you enjoyed my story, give me a thumbs up. I really appreciate it. Yes. Yeah, it's a wrap, guys, and I hope to see you in the next video. Take care. See you later. Bye. Peace out.